Hey guys, new video here. Low life, righteous fire, Vaal righteous fire. This is Mark 1. I think I finally got it to work with low life without having to recast righteous fire and anything like that. So I'm gonna do this map here. It is I'm gonna double beyond it just for fun, so you guys can see the gameplay, and then I will talk about the build. And for this build, you should really just get a headhunter forehead. But here we go. So I'm killing monsters, and right now it's as you can see. So my righteous fire is ready, right? So I hit my flask and I pop it, and now I am Vaal righteous fire. I have 20,000 ES. Look at that. It's crazy. Doing this breach. See, just clearing out mobs. Now you see how the Vaal righteous fire is ready again. So I hit the flask, I hit that again, and this whole time my regular righteous fire is also on in the background. Now sometimes it disappears, but that's just a visual bug. The righteous fire doesn't turn off. If it ever happens again, here I won't hit my righteous fire. If it ever happens again, I'll show you. It's simply a graphical bug. Okay, so I'll just skip some of this stuff and I'll also show you a oh, that's a temple. Okay, but here I'll hit my thing again, and then the Vaal righteous fire is on, and as long as you're going at a decent speed, what you're going to find is that you pretty much have 100% uptime. I hit my Vaal clarity for the boss. Boss dies instantly because I have double more multiplier from righteous fire, Vaal righteous fire. Once again, they're both always on, and as you can see, it's it's ready again. So I hit it again, and I keep going, and yeah, so it's pretty self-explanatory. There's a little bit of trickiness to it when I was first getting it set up, but once again I'll go over everything after this map, right? See what it's over. I'm not I'm talking at the same time, so I'm not pressing it right when it comes up, right when this this RF comes up. But you can have 100% uptime on this. See, it's up again. I cast it again, even when my old Vaal RF was still going, and as you can see, it's pretty good, right? It's pretty good stuff. I like it a lot. It's been quite a bit of fun, and now let's go back and talk about the build. Overall, it has an amazing MTX now. The Vaal RF, it lasts for 10.4 seconds on my Trickster, and it's been really fun. So this is pretty expensive. If you're a new player, you're probably not going to be doing anything like this. You're probably going to go life based or just regular low life when you upgrade from life based. So there's kind of a lot of moving parts, and we'll go over that right now. So first and foremost, you are low life, so you have to have a shavs, and this shavs I double corrupted, and I got a reduced fire damage taken and reduced Chow's damage taken, but that doesn't really matter. All you need is really a shavs. You actually don't need it 6-linked, because you can work with less than a 6-linked scorching ray. But I mean, if you can get it 6-linked, why not, right? It's something you should be working towards. So a scorching ray with a burning damage, Ellie focus, swift affliction, controlled destruction, and then advocacy. This is your best links here. That will give you a massive amount of damage on your single target. And if you saw the last map, I didn't really need to use scorching ray. You don't really need to use scorching ray ever once you have your double RF and Vaal RF going. But if you do need to, that's when you'll cast it. It'll do massive damage. You'll debuff them, make them take negative 24 fire res, right, to whatever they have, and then it makes your regular RF and your Vaal RF do incredible amounts of damage. It's pretty good. So that's the chest right there. You want to get the energy shield as high as possible. It's 148 for the max roll, or sorry, 150 for the max roll, but the 150 from 129 is 1 ES point. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. So just get the ES above 140% increase. Lightning resist doesn't really matter because you can get that other places. So don't worry about that roll. Just worry about the first one. Okay. As for the Helm, so the Helm is what my RF is in. This one's not so great because it's early on in the league. The ones I want are either ridiculously expensive, or they just aren't there, right? If you want a 200 plus and one giant resist, you're just not going to find that very easily. So I'm using this one right here. The most important things is you either get you have to get the 30% more elemental damage that's made by an essence of horror, crafted onto an elder, a tentacle background Helm, and then the second support gem you're going to want is burning damage, right? So that's like 2 links right there if you think about it. And then in here I put righteous fire, LE focus, efficacy is your next best, and then I put an increased duration here. So the increased duration, you can put an ink AoE here if you want, and you'll get a little bit extra radius. I think it's like 2 radius or something. But the reason I put this in here is because if I take it out, my Vaal RF, you'll see that it's at 7.4 seconds, right? And so it might be a little bit clunky with the soul catcher. We'll talk about this later. If you don't have this, if you put this in and you're paying attention and stuff, you're gonna have like 100% uptime while you're mapping. It's gonna be amazing. And so that's why I put it into ink AoE. I lost radius and I lost what was like 20% damage or something, but I gained a lot more smoothness, and I'm actually able to like say that like the character is actually a Vaal Righteous Fire character and not just a regular Righteous Fire character that uses Vaal Righteous Fire sometimes, like occasionally, right? So that's a long time, 10.4 seconds. Something you get temp chains on you and you can last a lot longer, but like you're using a warding flask, but I'll talk about that later as well. So increased duration, and also efficacy gains a little bit of skill effect duration, 16% on the Vaal RF as well. So it does a decent amount of damage, and once again you have to remember that this is stacked, right? It's stacked on top of the regular RF, so it's just like crazy amounts of damage. So that's the Helm. Once again, make sure you're getting a more LE damage if you can, or a burning damage. I guess if you only afford 1, then you're probably gonna you're probably just gonna go with the burning damage, right? I think it's more, yeah, it's 55% more burning damage. So you go with that one instead of the horror, but the horror will help because it's another multiplier added on. Okay, so that's my Righteous Fire links. Once again, if you take out increased duration, let's say you just want to use it sparingly, the Vaal Righteous Fire, just put an increased AoE here, or something like that, or a conk effect for bosses if you are just doing bosses. Okay, that's the Helm. Essentially, the most end game gear will be a 200 plus with like these stats and 1 big resist. Okay, even if it's like Chow's resist, or you know, that could be fine too. Okay, another key part of the build is presence of Chayubi here. So what this does, gives you a massive amount of Chow's res. So like I've noticed that ever since I started using this for my other builds, well, once I've switched over to using this on this build, compared to the other builds, you know, Arc Trapper, Vaal Fireball, things like that, the constructs in the incursions and temples, they don't really hurt too much anymore. So it's amazing what a big difference going from you know, negative 60 to 0 does for you. Okay, so get this. Cannot be stunned is really good. You'll notice that if you don't have a cannot be stunned, when you're casting your scorching ray, you'll stop casting sometimes because there'll be those like little mini stuns going on. So this allows you to have a continuous scorching ray, and you know, obviously nothing more needs to be said about cannot be stunned. 20% max life converted to ES. This is pretty nice because if I take this off, well, it'll make this like go off, but if I take this off, I lose like, I think I lose like more than 2k ES, so it's pretty crazy. It converts your maximum life. It's like direct ES. Okay, it's as if like you had taken that value and then like added to like your discipline or like to one of your armors. So it's a lot of ES. I wouldn't really switch this thing out for anything. Okay, like this is not a Magic Find build. You could go Magic Find, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of other builds that are way more effective at that. So I'm just gonna feel like I'm just gonna create this character as kind of having a strong character. Okay, so you can use this one. Most end game, I guess I would go with a +1 max res and then like, I don't know, +1 curse or something. That would be nice. Okay, and same with like the shafts. I would go for a +1 max resist here because you gotta get 2 +2 max resist. Oh man, that would be like so much regeneration. That'd be a good time. Okay, so that's the necklace there. As for the shield, so this is just a +2 max resist shield. Is kind of garbage. 270 ES when you can get like 300 plus, 9 to all LE resistances, and the only thing that really matters is the 2% max fire res there. I guess I would like to, you know, possibly get one that has like reduced fire damage taken crafted on, but it's not too important. It won't like increase your regen that much. And so just get one with +2 max resist and the highest ES that you can find, and then like 1 huge resist would be good. But you know, +9, it's, you know, 27 total res. It's whatever. It's passable for now. I can't really find the the shields I want right now. So maybe in a week or two they'll become available if I don't hit like 100 by that time, right? So that's your shield right there. You can also, if you're like super poor, you can substitute in a I'll talk about substitutions later actually. So that's the shield I'm using right here. As for the boots, I'm using Death's Door, and the reason Death's Door, like, it doesn't have that much ES, but it's good because it gives you total res, right? 45 total res, which is very strong. Strength, which you actually need to use high level, what's it called? To use high level blood magic and other things, and then it's 25% movement speed is not bad, and then the cannot be bleeding is really nice because it allows you to drop a staunching suffix from your flask. Okay, so try to get these boots. If you can't, then you're gonna have to drop warding off of one of your flasks and get staunching instead, which I don't think it's worth it. But so I think Death's Door is the best here. The enchant 2% life and mana regen per second is kind of nice. If you're killing really fast, you don't benefit from it. So maybe if you're killing really fast and just speed clearing maps, maybe 16% attack and cast speed is actually better. But I like the 2% regen. It's safer. And as for the belt, I'm using a Headhunter. The reason I'm using Headhunter is, well, a little bit because when you steal the mods, there's like a couple ES mods. There's like ES percentage, and then there's actually life as ES or something like that. And there's also like I think it's called like massive, and it's like gives you just flat life. So like all of that feeds into your ES. And if you're running beyond maps with the price of, you know, the Exalt to Chow's or price is like so ridiculous right now, you can just run whatever Zamina mods you want, and I'm going to be running Beyond all day. So if I run Beyond all day, I'm going to be averaging like 20,000 plus ES when I'm running around the map. So like Headhunter will feed the fuel, right? And essentially, like if you have, let's say I have like 10k and you have 20k ES, that's like your base, right? So essentially you're just doubling your damage, and it gets like really insane with like the speed and like things like that. So this is the best in slot. Just get a Headhunter forehead. Okay, once again, so you'll use this, and it is undeniably the best in slot. Also the dex and the strength once again play into it a lot, so you don't have to get any nodes on the tree. So very nice there. Like the strength and the dex nodes on here are like really underrated, but it's pretty huge for this belt. Okay, as for gloves, so gloves, I'm going Insanity gloves with ES, and with the ES, the reason I'm going Insanity is because I just want my shield charge to be much faster. Okay, I forgot to talk about the gems in here, but so it's like the classic fast shield charge setup. Shield charge linked to faster text 2023, linked to the only thing I'm pouring on Fortify is the quality, because I think it gives duration. So Fortify will make you take a lot less damage, and then of course Culling Strike 23% to get the attack speed. It's not really for the cull, but I guess like it helps a little bit. Actually, it's not. Your accuracy is not that great, so like don't really rely on this, but it's just for the attack speed. Okay, I forgot. In the boots, Purity of Fire, Blood Magic, Enlighten, and Clarity. And I'll go over this Clarity. This is an important part of the build, but I'll go over that in a second. Okay. So we talked about the gloves. All you're looking for here is the highest ES possible, and this is made with an essence of Insanity. So if you don't want to make it yourself, it's a suffix. Okay, so just keep that in mind in case you're budgeting resists. Okay, so let's see, what was I saying here? So you're looking for highest ES possible, the Insanity roll, which is 16% more attack and cast speed for things that are socketed inside of the gloves, okay, which is your shield charge. And if you can get it, one big resist. This one was 8% fire res, but like I bought this like 3 days ago, so it was the only one that was available, and the high ES kind of makes up for it. So get a big resist on here if you can. Just one is fine. And that's about it. And then so the scepter here, what you're looking for really is all you gotta search on all you have to search on PoE trade for these scepters is you look for like, you know, I don't know, like 80 or 70 or 80% increased fire damage or something like that, and then look for a tier 1 attack speed roll, which starts at 26%. Okay, so increased attack speed 26%. That's the only two modifiers you need to search for, because you search for that, you're gonna find scepters like this, and you can craft with a Leo level 3. You can craft 30% increased damage over time. That's a prefix, so make sure it has a prefix open. And these mods here, I like the Topotantes and stuff like that. I think these are like the new incursion ones, right? So you can get a lot of fire damage. The reason you don't want to use a Doriani's Catalyst is because Doriani's Catalyst caps out at like I think 15% attack speed as the roll on the scepter, and although the damage is fine, was like 130 or something, it's really slow, okay, like extremely slow. So try to get 26-27%. 26 is fine because you divide 27, and that's kind of like a more modifier to your attack speed, which is your movement speed, which is your shield charge. Okay, so once again, most important is tier 1 attack speed roll, and then get a big fire damage roll. Look for open prefix. You can craft down to 30% increased damage over time yourself. And as for the suffixes, you can look for things like resist if you want. Okay, it could help. So so that's not bad. Like this one I got pretty lucky with, but this one was only 5C before I crafted the Leo on there. And then I guess like, you know, mana regen for the suffix, not really that important. But yeah, so that's the scepter right there. As for the rings, you're looking for opals. So the biggest thing is that you bless it to 25, obviously, but then you have a prefix of hopefully a tier 1, tier 2 energy shield roll, and then you're just looking for big resist, as big of resist as you can, and then a prefix on one of your rings or on the scepter itself. Maybe is you need a lightning or cold damage roll because you're going elemental equilibrium. Okay, so what this does is like when you hit the monster, Headhunter maybe messes this up sometimes, but when you hit a monster with lightning or cold, they'll have -50 to fire, right? And that's pretty huge. And since I'm using blasphemy flammability, you know, obviously on bosses this is more effective, but on like all the non-boss enemies, you just like completely obliterate them. Okay, so this is a really good node here, really strong, big more damage multiplier right here. But once again, you just can't have fire damage. And the way to check this, if you're unsure, you see how this one has fire damage to spells? Well, none of my spells actually hit, so it has to be a hit for elemental equilibrium. The way you can check this is I'm going to hit with my shield charge. So you hover over the shield charge and it'll tell you, as long as you don't have any fire damage on the shield charge, you're okay, you're good to go for elemental equilibrium. So you can see here I have physical, which does nothing, and I have lightning damage from the ring, right? And so this is how you know that I'm hitting with lightning, and they're going to get -50 to the other elements. So you can always check by hovering over the tooltip right there. In the scepter, I have flammability on blasphemy, and then I have a vitality as well. Vitality is for the regen, and so the entire build relies on getting enough regen, right? So there's a few ways you can get this. You can get regen on the tree, like, you know, here, like right here. You can get regen right here. You know, there's like a bunch of places for it. And with the regen, you're looking for also, you can probably get a Watcher's Eye if you can afford. Once again, this is like not very new player friendly. Where's my Watcher's Eye? Right here, right? You can get like 2.5% ES regen per second while affected by discipline. Now this divines in tenths, so 1.5 to 2.5, not that hard. And then the second affix, you're looking for one of two things. You're looking for either increased energy shield recovery rate while affected by discipline, or you're looking for a flat life regen. And then if like, I guess if you had to choose something else, it would be like life recovery or something like that, right? Or anything else that you can afford. But the actual 2.5% or the any percent maximum ES regen per second while affected by discipline is actually like really cheap if you just look for one. And the second one, you know, you might need to whoop it for a while. You could probably get some good deals there. So once you got the regen, as you can see here, if I cast my RF in town like this, you can see my ES doesn't move because I have positive regen. Okay, and so that's basically what you want to do, right? You want to have a regen where like you don't need to like kill monsters to trigger the trickster, what's it called, like patient reaper, or the 70% recovery there. Okay, so that's like the ideal goal. And another way you get that is by maximum fire res. Once again, you can get +2 max fire res here. You can get a dying sun, which is +6 max fire res, but if you get like some flask node, I think it gives you like 7. Let me check actually. So right now I'm at 82. I hit my dying sun. Yeah, that's 7 right there, and so that's pretty good. And then what else can you get? You could get +1 max res on the amulet or this. And so when all of this max res comes together, you take a lot less fire degen. Okay, so that's the build right there. Talking about the ascendancies, like I think Trickster is really good, but you can also go Occultist if you want. I think those are the two best from a mapping perspective. Trickster because like free power and frenzy charges. Power charge are actually good because it allows you to trigger elemental overlord more, so that's really nice. And of course it's flat damage. And then frenzies, nothing needs to be said there. It's more damage multiplier and it's attack speed, and of course flat damage from this node. So this is just like so good. I'll take this first probably. And then the next one, like Patient Reaper, this is also really good because talk more about the mechanics of like the Righteous Fire and Vaal Righteous Fire in a second, but this, like if you kill an enemy, it's like almost like a mini Vaal pack, right? You gain a little bit of that back. And then also if you kill them with a dot, 70% increased recovery rate, life, mana, and so the life and mana are the big parts, right? It's like a kind of like a more multiplier. It's pretty sick for your regen. And you'll notice that like even in a map with minus 10 max res and like, you know, less recovery and stuff like that, if you might be degenning naturally, whereas like in town I'm not, right? But in the map, if you're degenning, you'll find that you kill one monster and then like it'll start like regenning up because that's how strong it is. And then of course prolonged pain, I'll get this third because, you know, skill effect duration, nice for Vaal Righteous Fire. Reduced damage taken from damage over time, you're taking damage over time from Righteous Fire. Poison duration doesn't matter. And then 15% more damage over time, so it's like I consider this like maybe like a little under half of a support gem or something, right? So really strong there. And the last one is Weave the Arcane. So increased mana doesn't matter too much, but movement skills cost no mana. So your shield charge, even if you get soul what's it called, soul reaper, what's the thing that's like soul eater, the thing that gives you a massive attack speed and makes your character huge, that you steal from with Headhunter. Okay, it won't like booty blast your mana here. You'll be able to cast this no matter what. And then also, of course, recovering mana can be nice if like you somehow run out of mana on Scorching Ray. Shield charge around a few times and all your mana is back. And then reduce damage taken for 4 seconds while spending a total of 200. You know, once again, you're casting Scorching Ray sometimes, and you know, you just get like damage reduction for a little bit after like standing still and casting. Could be nice, but it's not that big a deal. Most of it's the free movement speed thing, and then I guess 20% increased attack and cast speed is also makes you faster as well. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. You could also go Occultist, but there's one little caveat to that. So as for the build, like the playstyle is really nice, right? Because you're charging around. As you're charging around, you're proccing your Fortify, making yourself take less damage, and then you'll be triggering elemental overlord right here for more damage as well. And then as you kill enemies, you gain power and frenzy charges. And then, you know, all this is while your Righteous Fire is active, the normal Righteous Fire, and then you will, you know, kill monsters. And then once your Vaal Righteous Fire gets active, you need to hit this flask right here. This is Soul Catcher. So max rolls are 100% increased damage during the effect. This lasts like, you know, 4.8 seconds. You can spam this because it's like 30 out of 60 charges, and you gain charges while you're killing it. So 100% increased damage for your Righteous Fire, which is for your Vaal Righteous Fire, right, which is really strong. And then you have the reduced soul cost, so you'll find that like when you hit your Vaal Righteous Fire, like a chunk of it will be already like red because it doesn't use those souls. So it'll be as if you had gained those souls already, so your next one will charge up a lot faster. And then the most important part is 40% reduced soul gain prevention. So Vaal Righteous Fire has 12 seconds of soul gain prevention, right? So that means like if I hit this 0.4 times 12 is like 4.8. So 4.8 minus 12 is what, 7.2. So it can start recharging in 7.2 seconds, but as you can see here, it lasts for 10.4 seconds. So I have like over a 3-second window in which I can gain what's this math here? What is 75% of 40? 30. So I have like a 3-second window to gain 30 souls, and 30 souls is like a pack, right? So this is how you keep your uptime on the Vaal Righteous Fire with that small window. Sometimes it'll drop a little bit, but once again, you don't drop the regular Righteous Fire, so you're still burning them for always like the big Righteous Fire damage anyways. So you hit that, right? You hit this flask, gives you phasing as well, which is, I guess, okay. You hit the flask. you hit the Vaal Righteous Fire, and then you just keep going. Once again, the Vaal Righteous Fire will stack on top of your Righteous Fire, so they'll both be going off, okay? Obviously, the Vaal Righteous Fire does a lot more damage, has a bit more radius, looks a lot cooler, so that's a benefit. So you'll find that happening, and then now you might be wondering, wait a minute, like Soul Catcher, I can't gain mana. How am I supposed to use my Scorching Ray? Well, for regular maps, you don't even use Scorching Ray. You only use it for the bosses. And if you come to a boss and this flask is up and your Vaal Righteous Fire is up, then the mana doesn't matter because you have a Vaal Clarity here, right? So the Vaal Clarity, it lasts 15 seconds. So you just pop this only at the bosses, or maybe on like a Architect or like some Incursion or like just some like huge Beyond monster or something like that. But it lasts 15 seconds. If you can't kill a monster in 15 seconds, then something wrong with your build. So you're gonna pop the Vaal Clarity, and this is what fixes your single target like sustain if you need it, right? I was like wondering about this for a long time because like as you can see, my mana is like super reserved, and you might be wondering, wait a minute, why is your mana super reserved? And that is because I have a Empower. If you see I take off my Empower, I get a little bit more mana, right? But the Empower plus 3 levels of Stone Golem gives me a tiny bit more regen, which is nice. And then plus 3 levels to Discipline is a little bit of flat ES, which feeds into here, feeds into damage, feeds into defensives, gets buffed once again by the Headhunter buffs. And so I think Empower is really strong here, but not necessary, right? It's just like your Golem should be the Stone Golem, and then you have to have Discipline, right? Because it ties into the Watcher's Eye. So that's why I have an Empower here, and I don't need mana anymore because of my my Vaal Clarity. Now, one annoying thing when I was playing this before and I wasn't full Vaal Righteous Fire was that if you don't have 30%, right? Because Vaal Righteous Fire takes away 30% of your life and ES, and ES is fine, right? Because you always have ES, so it chunks you for 30%. But life, let's say I had like 20 health points or something, right? Because I was reserving let's see, 235% auras on my life, right? So I have like 20 health. What happens is it takes you down to 1 health. It'll still go off. The Vaal Righteous Fire still goes off, but because you hit 1 health, your regular Righteous Fire turns off. So that really sucks because like if the regular Righteous Fire turns off and your Vaal Righteous Fire is going, and if you can't sustain that like 100%, then when it goes off, you don't know that you don't have any damage coming in, right? So if you're in the middle of a pack, it's kind of scary. So like you'd have to like cast your Vaal Righteous Fire, then hit your Righteous Fire button again, and then so it's like a double cast, which is super clunky, really, really annoying, and kind of dangerous if you forget to hit your Righteous Fire, okay? Especially with like the desync in this game and stuff on predictive mode. So I was like, how can I solve not having to hit Righteous Fire every time after casting Vaal Righteous Fire? Well, I need I need like 31% of my life, because with 31% of my life, if I hit my Vaal Righteous Fire, it'll take 30%. I'll still have like a few points left, and the Righteous Fire will go off, right? It'll eat that amount, and it'll do more damages, and it won't turn off my Righteous Fire. And then it's like, wait a minute, but then how do you regen it back again, right? For the next time? Well, that's where Trickster is so awesome, because I hit the Vaal Righteous Fire, it takes all my health except for a few points, doesn't turn off my Righteous Fire, and then all I have to do is I need to kill like 1 pack, less than 1 pack. You see this? Because this is you get 2% of your maximum life on kill, and so if I'm at like 31%, then it's like 15 monsters I need to kill to get all that life back. And of course, as you know, 15 monsters is like nothing, right? It's like the next packs you hit, you'll be boom, and you'll be back to full. So that's where Patient Reaper comes in. Really, really nice right there, right? So the synergies on the Trickster are just so good if you want to go low life and permanent Righteous Fire. I've seen other people do like hybrid, right? Hybrid is nice because, you know, for obvious reasons, you don't need to like worry too much about like doing this weird stuff to make it work. But low life is always good because, you know, more spell damage for your Scorching Ray if you want it. ES values become much higher when you're not hybrid, and the buffs, like the Headhunter buffs, just jack this number to amazing heights. Like I'll probably have in a few days or so, I'll probably have like 9.3 hopefully, and if I can get 9.3, you know, it's just the ES values are gonna get like real crazy, a lot of damage, and I think it feels a lot better. You get to reserve more auras, and so yeah, I just think like low life is better. So that's how it works. That's how everything kind of fits together. Did I miss anything? I think that's about it. I could do like the gear swaps if you're like super poor. If you're super poor, you should just go life based and then like convert to low life later on. But like the flask, I have a silver flask of warding because I don't have onslaught, so I'm just going to use this thing. Chemist is important because at 23% reduced charges used, it allows you to do 2 presses of this flask instead of 1. Removes curses is really nice, like ally weakness, enfeeble, temp chains, all that stuff won't affect you in the map anymore, and flask charge so fast that it doesn't really, you'll always have the warding, right? So that's so nice. Soul Catcher, I already explained this. This is instrumental in causing a permanent Vaal Righteous Fire. And then a Alchemist Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline. This is just for speed. Get a 30% one if you can. Dying Sun. Now this isn't necessary. I believe this gives me 2 radius when I hit it for my Righteous Fire. So that's pretty good, I guess. And the key is to get like 0% charges or like negative or reduced charges used. So you have 2 presses per flask. If you have an increase, then you only get 1 press before it needs to recharge a tiny bit. Okay, so get that, and then you can use any rubby flask. It doesn't really matter here. Okay. And then a sulfur flask of heat is just a little bit of damage, and you need to solve your freeze, right? Like freeze, bleed, cursing, right? So I solve curses here, solve freeze here, and then solve bleeding with these boots. So those are the flasks there. The tree is just like this is the nice thing about low life Righteous Fire, right? Like you could just like choose the damages if you want. You can get more ES if you don't want damages. You have a lot of jewel sockets, right? Jewel sockets are basically just looking for ES and then 3 damage mods, or like, you know, 2 damage mods, 1 attack speed mod, 2 attack speed mods, 1 damage mod. But the ES is probably the most important, and then you just get like the big ES clusters here, 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 and then you're pretty much done. I guess you have some right here. And then like if you want to fill, you can get in here. Okay, I'm at level 95 right now. So that's pretty much it. Permanent Vaal Righteous Fire, finally got it kind of working with low life. ES will get higher eventually. Vaal Clarity to fix your mana issues if you need them at the boss. Sometimes like the Vaal Righteous Fire and the Righteous Fire stacked on top will just like give the boss, like it's a lot of damage. Okay, so sometimes you don't need it, but this is just like kind of insurance. Okay, and getting to like the 31%, just over 30% life value, that's where I put the clarity and the purity of fire. Those 2 came together. So clarity can have like 13 or 14. I think it doesn't matter too much with the level, but just make sure that you're in some range on Path of Building between like less than 35%, more than 30%. Okay, in that range anywhere will be fine. Doesn't actually matter. And that's about it. That is the build. Well, this is Mark 1. Okay, I just did this, threw it together with a box of scraps like 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, and I hope to make it eventually better, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow. And it's been a lot of fun. Righteous Fire is pretty cool. It's just like a cool looking skill. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can ask below. All right, bye. Okay, if you have questions, you can also ask me at twitch.tv/cuteDog_. Okay, stream every day. All right, bye.